What tribes camped on the west side of the tabernacle? This is the question that we seek to answer today as we continue our verse-by-verse study of the book of Numbers on Walking Through the Bible. If you have a Bible with you, turn to Numbers chapter 2. We're going to be reading from verses 17 to 24. If you don't have a Bible, don't worry. Just follow along with us on the screen. The version that we'll be reading from is the New King James Version. So, Numbers chapter 2, beginning at verse 17. And the tabernacle of meeting shall move out with the camp of the Levites in the middle of the camps. As they camp, so they shall move out, every one in his place by their standards. On the west side shall be the standard of the forces of Ephraim according to their armies. And the leader of the children of Ephraim shall be Elishama, the son of Ammiad. And his army was numbered at 40,500. Next to him comes the tribe of Manasseh, and the leader of the children of Manasseh shall be Gamaliel, the son of Pedazur. And his army was numbered at 32,200. Then comes the tribe of Benjamin. And the leader of the children of Benjamin shall be Abidan, the son of Gidoni. And his army was numbered at 35,400. All who were numbered according to their armies of the forces with Ephraim, 108,100. They shall be the third to break camp. The first few chapters of the book of Numbers are often skipped because they contained names that are hard to pronounce and census figures that we think are irrelevant. We've discussed in previous episodes that although we may not remember all the names or even remember the exact numbers from the census, we can learn general lessons about the faithfulness of God. God promised Abraham that he would make of him a great nation. That had been fulfilled, for Israel had 603,500 people besides women and children. When God spoke that promise to Abraham in Genesis, Abraham had no children. It didn't take God a millennium to accomplish this, for Israel grew to this size in about 400 years. Moreover, even in the names that we find, there are some from the tribe of Judah that we see in the lineage of Jesus. So if we skip Numbers 1, we miss making that connection. Even the way the children of Israel were organized around the tabernacle shows the orderliness that God expected of his people as they traveled through the wilderness. They were not some ragtag team of nomads. They were a people that had an army. They were a people that followed a great God. They would be a people that would take the land promised to them as long as they served God. Now later on in this book, we will find that Israel rebelled and had to wander in the wilderness for 40 years. But that doesn't change the fact that had they not done this, that they would have taken the promised land by the power of God. In our last lesson, we discussed some of the organization of the camp of Israel. Up on the screen now is a full picture of the camp. The tabernacle is in the middle, and immediately surrounding it are the families of the Levites. We will discuss their order in detail in chapter 3. On the east side of the camp, you find the largest camp, the camp of Judah, containing the tribes of Judah, Issachar, and Zebulun. On the south side of the camp, you will find the second smallest camp, the camp of Reuben, containing the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and Simeon. Reuben, of course, was the firstborn son of Jacob, hence the likelihood that this camp was named for him, despite him not being the largest tribe in that camp. And then Judah was the kingly tribe, the tribe that we will find later on in our studies as the one through whom the Messiah would come, hence why that tribe was likely named for him. Which brings us down to verse 17, and the camp that would be found on the west side of the camp of Ephraim. This camp would include the tribes of Ephraim, Manasseh, and Benjamin, and would be the smallest of the four camps of Israel. Notice, if you will, that these three tribes all came from one woman, Rachel. If you recall from Genesis, Rachel was Jacob's favorite wife, but only had two children of her own, Joseph and Benjamin. Joseph received the extra inheritance that Reuben should have received, and it was divided between Manasseh and Ephraim. However, even though these tribes came from Jacob's favorite wife, separately they would also represent the smallest populations of the 12 sons of Jacob who would receive land. Despite their numbers, though, the tribes Ephraim and Benjamin especially would play outsized roles in Israel, with the first king coming from the tribe of Benjamin and Ephraim taking on the mantle of leadership through Joshua, and the place where the tabernacle would be for many of the first couple centuries in Israel would be in Ephraim. In fact, there would be a consistent power struggle between Ephraim and Judah, which will eventually lead to the formation of the northern nation of Israel, with the northern tribes sometimes referred to simply as Ephraim, and the southern nation of Judah. Why should such a power struggle exist? Well, as we know, everyone wants power. Leading the nation would come with its own prestige and would make the tribe feel important. But perhaps there's another reason for the power struggle between these two tribes specifically. Going back to Genesis 37, whose idea was it to sell Joseph into slavery in Egypt? It was Judah's. And even though Judah later repented of what he had done and been forgiven by Joseph, future generations may not have had the same feelings when they learned of their history. So even though I cannot prove that that's the reason for the power struggle between these tribes, that could be one of the reasons. With that, our time is up for today. Lord willing, we hope you'll join us for tomorrow's discussion of Numbers chapter 2, verses 25 to 34, as we continue our walk through the Bible, one verse at a time. Thank you for watching today's episode. We hope that you found it edifying and ask that you not only subscribe to our channel and podcast, but that you like and share this episode among your friends, so that the saving gospel of Jesus Christ can go out to the whole world.